Good morning, MacLaren. One look over my shoulder and it's easy to surmise that I'm a big fan of Lego. It was a good part of my childhood and I still enjoy building with the bricks today. One of the astounding facts about Lego is that the original design remains unchanged even after 60 years of the company's existence. The original patent was for a 2x4 brick where you can see that there are 8 studs arranged in a 2x4 pattern. This brick is still in production today, and the bricks produced in the 1960s are compatible with all of the bricks that are used in modern sets. This leads to an enormous diversity in building potential, and it begs the question, just how versatile are these bricks? And that brings us to a grown-up problem with a kid's toy. How many possible combinations are there for a given number of Lego bricks? On this next slide, we see a copy of the original US patent filed for the brick I just showed you, or a brick similar to what I just showed you. And on the right, we see a digital image of that brick, and we're going to use that in exploring these different combinations. In 1974, a man by the name of Jorgen Kirk Christensen set out to determine the number of unique combinations for a given number of Lego bricks. And he used this as his brick. And so we're going to take a look at that calculation and see just how many combinations there really are. The process is relatively simple. You start with one brick, ask yourself how many combinations there are, then add a second brick, look at all those combinations, a third, etc. And in theory, you could do this for any number of bricks. We're going to see very quickly that that becomes impractical, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at it anyway. So for one brick, the solution is trivial. There is only one combination. There's only one way to have one brick. But by the time you have a second brick, the number of combinations increases dramatically. If you think about fixing one brick and then adding the second brick in all of the different possible ways, you end up with 46 different combinations. Now, if you take a close look at these, you'll notice that some of them are the same, and we'll come back to that in a minute. And so we are not counting all of the unique combinations, we're just counting all of the combinations. And so one way to see this is if we take one of the combinations and you imagine picking it up and rotating it 180 degrees, you have a combination that already exists in our grouping of 46. And this is true for all of those 46 combinations except for 2. And those 2 are unique in that if you rotate them 180 degrees, you end up with the same exact combination. These are unique and we call them symmetric combinations. All of the other ones are asymmetric combinations. So the symmetric combinations are unique, but the asymmetrics always occur in pairs. So if we find one, there will be another in that set of 46. And we can see that here. If we look at the bottom one down here, it has its partner there. If we pick another one, it has its partner there. If we pick another one, it has its partner there. And we can repeat this process for all of the 44 asymmetric combinations. And we find out that only 22 of those combinations are actually unique. The other 22 are just repeats of the first 22. So to look for the unique combinations, we need to take this into account and figure out how to eliminate all of the asymmetric pairs. When we do that, we end up with 24 unique combinations for 2 bricks. And here you can see those 24. And this gives us a sort of methodology for counting the combinations for even more bricks, 3 bricks, 4 bricks, etc. Before we start doing that, let's summarize what we have. So we had 1 brick and there's only 1 combination. For 2 bricks, we ended up with 24. We started with 46 and then we said, well, a lot of those come in pairs. And so what we did was we subtracted out the symmetric pairs and then we just divided the asymmetric number by 2, and that gave us the unique asymmetric solutions. And then to find the total, we have to add back in the symmetric. And so you see the equation on the right there, 46 minus 2 divided by 2 gives us the asymmetric solutions. And then we add back the 2 symmetric ones and we end up with a total of 24. To do this for 3 would be a daunting task. the number of combinations skyrockets. So we're going to look for a different way to do that. And we're going to do it through mathematics. We're going to look for a mathematical expression that allows us to calculate these without actually having to write them all out or draw them all out. It's easiest just to start with that basis of 46. So you know, when we had the combination of 2, we ended up with 46 combinations. If we were to add another brick, each one of those combinations would generate 46 new combinations. So we would end up with 46 squared combinations. And so we have that 46 squared combinations for the 3 bricks. That's 2,116 combinations. For 4 bricks, it would be 46 to the 3rd. For 5 bricks, it would be 46 to the 4th, and so on. And we end up with a general formula of 46 to the n-1, where n is the number of bricks. Now again, this counts all of the combinations, and it doesn't take into account the symmetric ones versus the asymmetric ones. And remember, the asymmetric ones always come in pairs. So we have to figure out a way to eliminate those. And the easiest way to do that is to identify how many symmetric ones you have, take what's left over and divide it by 2. So if we take the 2 brick combinations, we ended up with 2 symmetric solutions. And if we were to add a 3rd brick, each one of these combinations would generate 2 new symmetric combinations. And so we would go from 2 to 4 and going from 2 bricks to 3 bricks. If we go to 4 bricks, then we would end up with 8 symmetric combinations. And if we wanted to increase that to 5, we would end up with 16 symmetric combinations. So counting the number of symmetric combinations is relatively easy. And we can derive a formula for that. And that formula would be 2 to the n-1 for those symmetric bricks, where n again is the number of bricks. And here's a little table that shows you those results. Again, the 1 is trivial, but we would see 2 for 2 bricks, 4 for 3, all the way up to 32 for 16 bricks. So that determines the number of symmetric combinations. Now to determine the number of asymmetric combinations and remove all of the doubles, we're going to take the total number of combinations, which was 46 to the n-1. We're going to subtract out all of the symmetric combinations and divide that result by 2. And that will give us the number of unique asymmetric combinations. To find the total number now, all we have to do is add the asymmetric with the symmetric. And so that equation looks something like this. A little complicated, but something that you can plug into your calculator relatively easily. And a summary for that, for the number of unique combinations is shown in this table. And this is what Christensen found. He found that for 6 bricks, there are 102,981,504 unique combinations. And this number stood for 30 years. So first determined in 1974, it wasn't until 2004 when a Danish mathematician by the name of Søren Eilers visited Legoland and saw this number, and he started to question the methodology behind it. And he said, well, wait a second here. All of these combinations involve towers. So for instance, if you have 2 bricks, the combinations are always 2 bricks high. If you had 3, they were always 3 high. 4 would always be 4 high. 5 would always be 5 high. But anybody who's built Legos knows that you don't always build up. Sometimes you build to the sides. You build horizontally. And what Christensen's number omitted were all of the combinations that didn't reach that maximum height. So here we can see a few examples. Down in the lower left, you see a combination of 3 bricks that is only 2 bricks high. And then if you move to the right, you see a combination of 4 bricks that's only 3 bricks high. In the back, we have 5 that's only 3 high. And finally, we have 6 bricks that is only 3, a combination that's only 3 bricks high. And so Christensen left all of these out, and Eilers was intrigued. So he recruited a high school student by the name of Michael Abrahamson, and they set out to calculate this number, including all of the combinations, even those that didn't reach that maximum height. So that 102,981,504 was a gross underestimate. The problem is that counting these combinations is very difficult. They tend to be so irregular that there's no symmetry, there's no way to write down a mathematical formula to calculate this very easily. So what Eilers and Abrahamson did was they wrote a computer program that basically used a brute force method. They just used the computer to arrange all of the bricks in all of the possible ways, and then they would take the valid ones and count those as a solution. This is a pretty daunting task, and they both did it separately. They wrote their own program so that they could verify that number. And so when they finished their calculations, they were in perfect agreement, and they ended up with results that look something like this. So notice that we go from 1 brick all the way up to 6 again. And if you look at the column that says height of 6, you see that familiar number of 102,981,504. But if you count all of the combinations that never reached that height of 6, you end up with a whopping number of 915,103,765 different combinations. This method, this brute force method, was very inefficient to calculate. The original calculation for the 6-brick solution took a week of computer time. They were able to change their program a little bit and bring that time down to 5 minutes for the 6-brick solution. But the 8-brick solution took over 3 weeks of computational time. So it is very demanding on a computer. When asked about a 9-brick or a 10-brick solution, Eilers was quoted as saying it would probably take years, maybe hundreds of years. So not a very efficient way to do it. And in the end, we really don't care how many different combinations there are, right? When we're building something, we'll find the right combination and the right orientation, the right piece to bring our creation to life. But it is a testament to how versatile and diverse these Lego bricks are. And it's also a testament to the curiosity of the mathematician who found a problem that he was just interested in, went home and found a solution. Have a good day.